Namaskar. Today let's talk about adjustments for pigeon. We've in the past worked on pigeon some modifications, but let's say you have a person who is more flexible and what you want to do is safely assist them to getting deeper into the pigeon pose. There are a number of problems that can happen if we start to push or we start to get over aggressive as far as pigeon pose goes. And the other thing I want to mention is Jeannine is with me today, and Jeannine is a teacher from Wheaton, Illinois, and she's come out here, and what we're going to do is go over a couple of different ways of looking at pigeon. I'm going to ask you to face that direction, and I'm going to move off out of the way. Okay, what's going on here? She's doing her initial setup of pigeon. Let's look at a couple of things. Sometimes some people get very carried away with the angle that the lower part of the leg is. For example, some people are into this thing where they push the leg out this much. Now the problem is she can get away with this, but what about some of the students who can? And what about when we get a student where we push them so far that what happens is we've got other damage going on that now happens in the knee. So what we're trying to do is get them as much as we can out of this posture. There are some people who can take a little pushing and some people who can't, and you've got to kind of realize who they are. And at the same time, no matter who they are, what we're trying to do is make it so that it's as safe as possible. So the objective here is going to be not only the pigeon pose, but also bringing the back leg up, and then she's going to bring her arms around, and she's going to wrap them around her ankle or her lower leg. So now this brings another thing in that I'm concerned with. The knee itself, some people crank, and actually some people can get injured if you crank too much on the knee. We could overstretch a ligament. It's just one of those things. If we push the knee too hard, so one knee is at a weak point, if we push that one too much, and the other knee on my end, if I'm assisting, can be in trouble if I decide to push on it too much at this end. So what I'm going to do now is I'm moving around this way. I'm going to start to bring her leg up straight. I try to make sure that a lot of her knee is down here, and what I'm doing is very carefully. And I talked to Jeannine and make sure this isn't hurting, right?
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to start to draw back, and I'm going to ask you to reach the long way around with the long... Yes, yes, yes. So why would I go that way first? Because this way, she's probably going to find it a lot easier now on the near side. See, she's got her right arm reaching to the right leg, and here we have it. And as far as with your students, whatever you're doing, when you're adjusting or making any adjustments, if I'm going to let her go on her own, I'm going to at least say, you're on your own, and you're on your own. So there we go. And it's one of those things where what you do is you make sure there's some communication between you and the person you're adjusting. Now, go ahead and relax, and I'm going to ask you to switch to the other side. Okay. So here we go again. This is the opposite side, and one side of your hip is going to be easier to do than the other. Which side is this for you, the easy side or the hard side?
I think this is the tighter side.
Okay, so you have a tighter side, and this is something that might be good to communicate with your students too, because you want to make sure, you know, for safety's sake, that whenever you're doing anything, you're not cranking on their bodies. They only have one set of knees, and we want to make sure that when they walk out of our classes, they're as good as they were when they came in. So I'm coming up again. Again, I'm making sure that when I draw this up, and I can even feel a little bit of tightness on this side, more so than the other side. Go ahead, and she came around with the near side, now she comes around with the far side. So she's on her own, and I'm going to let you go. Maybe not.
You know what? I'll clasp my fingers.
There you go.
And
All set?
Yeah.
Here we go. Okay, so that goes to show you this is something to play with as far as getting these. It's not always a slam dunk. You just don't just let them go. And, okay,
And maybe if I,
there we go. One more time. Maybe try to square off a little.
well, yeah, just
Okay,
to
go
balance,
ahead.
but, or just to ease into it.
Yeah.
And I think I got it now. If I just clasp.
All right. Good. I want to make sure you don't lock. Good. Okay. Just use, so there's a micro crack, anything in the elbow so that it's not completely locked.
Mhm.
And there we go, and you're all set. Okay. So we're just going to finalize. Okay, go ahead. Come to a seating position.
Mhm.
Okay. The key here is you have to have feedback. When you talk to whoever it is that you're adjusting, make sure you're going back and forth. There's no harm done in speaking and making sure that everything is safe. The other thing is not everyone, not every student that you have is going to be able to do this. And you really, you got to be careful about ligaments because some people, their knees are more tight, their bodies are more tight, so you have to be careful with them. So it's one step at a time, one little thing at a time, and there's no harm. There's a lot of ways to use props as well that we've discussed in past videos. This was just a different way of looking at Pigeon. With that, I'm going to wish you all a nice week. Om Shanti.